Okay, everybody, welcome, welcome. My name is Julie Mai. Thank you so much for joining us on this amazing Wellness Wednesday. This is our heart-to-heart discussions that we've been doing now for the last few weeks, and we have just had such a tremendous overflow of love and people really responding in a way that they just really appreciate the connection in these, crazy times. So thank you for taking the time to hop on and hear what we have to say. If this is the first time you hopping on one of these calls or hearing this information. We're just grateful to have you here. I am just going to kind of start off by saying, that this may or may not be for you, but if you consider yourself open-minded to better health for yourself, for your family, possibly another stream of income, especially with what's going on in the world right now. I know a lot of people that's on their mind, and maybe just more meaningful connections and relationships with people. You're going to really love what you have to hear today, because we have some phenomenal guests that are going to share some wonderful stories with you and just really connect on a heart level. So thanks so much for being here again. My name is Julie Mai. I'm calling in from the beautiful island of Kauai, way out in the Pacific Ocean. I have 4 children, ages from almost 2 all the way to 14. So it is a pretty full world in my life. My husband is from another beautiful island in Tahiti called Huahine. We met about 18 years ago. It's where I fell in love with just his island, the Tahitian Pearl, surfing. I'm a born surfer, so I just love traveling the world and surfing. And we came home and started a jewelry design company together in 2005, based around Tahitian pearls and my mom's skill set of jewelry design. She passed that on to me. So we've had a successful business with that, but for any of you that maybe have a brick and mortar business or your own business, you know that it can be a lot of work. And so I found myself about 7 years ago with 2 little girls, 6 and 3, and I was exhausted. You guys, I was tired of working all the time, meeting those deadlines after deadlines, and my little girls were going to the beach with other people, and I just felt in my heart that there had to be more out there. I knew that I wanted, really more than anything, was just more time. It wasn't necessarily money. I felt like I was paying the bills. I didn't want to be rich, but I just wanted more time to spend with the people and my little people in my life that I love so much. And so I kind of found myself in a really interesting situation of like not having the time to do anything else, but also not having, the time to do what I wanted to do. And that's when I was on my knees praying for something to come into my life. And a friend of mine called and invited me to hear some information. Kind of, probably for those of you who are on the call, someone invited you to hear some information. And of course, just from my heart to your heart, my flags went up, my guard went up. I was a little skeptical, but at the same time, I knew she was a woman of integrity. I valued her, what she had done in her life, and I knew where she was. And she told me that she had found a health product that was completely changing her husband's life. And I knew that he was having some ailments and that they were looking at a really scary surgery. And she said, we found this product. It was our last chance, our last go-to, and it's made such an impact that I feel I want to share it with people. And so I was like, all right, I'll listen to what you have to say. And I was floored, you guys. I truly was blown away by the information. And there was 2 questions that I had. And one was, if this is real, why doesn't the whole world know about this? And the second question was, if this is real, I want this in my body, and I want everyone I know and care about to have it in their body as well. So like all good people do who want to know more information, I went home and I started to dig, and I started to look at what this was that she had shared with me, you guys. And what I found was, not only was the company doing, had their research like all these other companies do, but I found incredible third-party validation. There were these different universities and scientific associations that were spending their own money and doing their own studies on our flagship product, which is called Protandim. And I was blown away by the peer-reviewed studies. And for those of you who don't know what that is, it's kind of it is the highest level of scientific studies that get published. So if you're a scientist and you write, your thesis or your paper and you want to publish it, you have your peers come in and they look at it and try to debunk it, try to prove you wrong. And if they can't, you get to publish it as a peer-reviewed study. At the time, we had 13 peer-reviewed studies, and now we have 25. So that to me was a huge deal. Also, I looked at the scientist, and his his list of who he was and what he had accomplished in his life was just too much for me to go into, but enough for me to say, I want that in my body. So I started taking it. I do want to just say this real quick before I go into my story a little bit, is you guys, we are a all natural health herbal we're all herbs, so we're not a drug, we're not a pharmaceutical, so we can't say that we cure, prevent, mitigate any diseases. We need to be careful to protect our company, but when you start to understand with the stories that you're going to hear this afternoon, this evening, of what's happening when we flip the switch on within our own cells and our own magical bodies do what they need to do, then you can put 2 and 2 together. So I started taking it. I felt better pretty much right away. I started sleeping better. I had more energy. My girlfriend who took it at the same time called me one day and she was like, are you happy? And I'm like, happy? And she's like, I just feel really good. And I was like, I haven't fought with my husband. I'm not yelling at my kids as much. I guess, yeah, I think my body's working better. And then I realized, I kind of want to share this with people. And the first person I thought of was my mom. And my mom was in her mid-60s and she was struggling. She was in a funk. She was struggling with depression, overweight, and certain things that I think a lot of you can relate to as we get older, things start to happen. And within a matter of a couple months, you guys, I started to see an incredible transformation in my mom, to the point where people were literally stopping her in the streets and asking her, what are you doing differently? She lost weight. She got a gym membership. She started hanging out with friends. She was calling me to babysit my kids, which was kind of unheard of for that time in her life. So I knew that something was working, and not only myself, but she started sharing it with people because what a difference it made in her life. So that's kind of where my story began. And I'm going to finish up my story at the end of this call because I'm so excited for our guests on the call tonight. But the back end of my story is even more incredible than the front end. So I'm going to leave you in a little bit of suspense while you hear these stories. But I want you to think of 2 things as you listen to the presenters tonight. And the first word is nutrigenomics. And nutrigenomics is more a kind of a newer term in the healthcare industry, but if you haven't heard of it, it is the future. And basically it's the scientific study of nutrients and the way they affect our genes. You can literally change our gene expression by the synergistic combination of different nutrients, which, scientific research is proving, and it's so incredible. And the second term I want you to think of is cellular activation. And this is through nutrigenomics, we can actually activate the cells, flip the switch within pathways into our cells and create more of what we were born with, more antioxidants that we can create, more glutathione and more SOD and catalase. I know these are big words, but just if you can think of it like this, instead of taking them, why don't we help our body make them? And that's really what the beautiful thing is with what we have here. So with that being said, I just want to set that up. I'm going to introduce our first speaker tonight. Her name is Jennifer Alice Murray, and she also is here on the beautiful island of Kauai with me. We've known each other now for about seven and a half years. She was introduced to me from one of my best childhood friends, and since then we've become really great friends in this business outside of it. She is a health advocate. She has co-owned one of the most incredible vegan restaurants in the state of Hawaii that I still miss every single day. She has written cookbooks. She's a vegan chef. She's an incredible human being. She's funny. So I'm just so grateful that she's going to share a little bit of her wisdom with us tonight on this call. So take it away, Jennifer.
Thank you, Julie. So if you haven't figured it out yet, you might need a pen because we do attempt here to cover sort of a large topic in a small amount of time. I am by trade a private chef, owned a restaurant, had no intention also of being a network marketer, very much like most of the people that I know in this business. And when this, product came to me, I felt like I was in really good health. I took care of myself. I thought I was at the top of sort of like the food game and all of that. However, I was in pain. I had been in pain for a couple of years, and that was extremely frustrating. Whether you're in pain or maybe just live with someone that is, it's something that you can't get away from day in and day out. It's depressing and frustrating and embarrassing and difficult to sort of figure out how you're gonna get out of that. So I sort of had a little motto running in my mind that I was gonna find a way out of pain naturally. I was gonna help other people out of pain. Little did I know that would mean I'd be like explaining cellular science to people over Zoom. That was like not on my radar, but I'm going to attempt to do that in the next few minutes here. What we really want to talk about mostly in this Zoom is our brand Protandim. Like Julie said, we have a product called the Tri-Synergizer. So it's 3 activators that we bundle together and sell as like one amazing team. And like she said, we're super science-based. I mean, it's really hard to convey to a non-scientist how extensive a peer-reviewed study is compared to a clinical trial or a lot of the other kind of studies that we hear about. A peer review is bulletproof, right? And we actually have that for natural products, right? Nutrigenomics is we're just using nutrients to have an effect on our genetics. So it's deep, it's pretty profound. And one other thing that's like really big word for our company is synergy, right? Because we're just like using really small amounts of these plants and these herbs and these extracts, like pretty tiny, minuscule, not very particularly absorbable. Like the intent is actually that they're very low doses, and yet they have an effect that is so dramatically larger than the sum of their parts. If you were to sort of name the individual herbs, it's a little distracting because you want to kind of go down a path of like how those herbs are therapeutic, but that's not what we're doing. We're binding them together and they're having a synergistic effect. So of these 3 main products, we have an NRF2 activator. These are little pieces of our cells, protein pathways, NRF2, NRF1, and NAD. And NRF2 controls the oxidative stress of our cells. And oxidative stress is something to look into because you have it and you have it every day. So from about age 0 to 20, we're in a growth cycle of our lives. And from 20 on, we're aging. And so these products are really at their base root, they're focused on slowing down the aging process by creating a very healthy foundation of cells that operate optimally, basically the way they were supposed to operate. And from about age 20 on, honestly, greatly because of pollution and the polluting aspects of our lives and our days, we've got it in the air and in the water and in the food and in our schedules. We're living very compressed, busy lives, a lot of us. And all of this compounds and damages our cells just a little bit every single day. So with our NRF2 activator, with peer-reviewed science, we can say that we are lowering the oxidative stress of our cells an average of 40% in 30 days. And once you really kind of understand what oxidative stress is, to eliminate it by almost half in a month is such a huge statement. It's hard to really convey. And then with our NRF1 activator, we're giving relief to this mitochondrial process of our cells, right? The energy function of our cells. We can literally double the efficiency of our cells. So for someone like me who was eating really healthy and into being outside and exercise and all of that, you almost think like that's enough. And what I really came to learn is that with just simple little plant extracts, you can bump up how you're taking care of those cells so dramatically. And you can even basically like overdo it by what a lot of us do if we're kind of get obsessed with health is we sort of like OD on antioxidants and berries and things like that. And you can actually damage yourself by sort of extending the life of your cell. It almost makes it so healthy that it doesn't quite die in time. And with our NRF1 activator, it makes that cycle of life and death of the cell spot on. And so you're able to keep yourself in great health without eating acai from the time you wake up to the time you go to bed. So that's great. And with our NAD product, NAD is huge. It's a little more out there in the public eye. It deals with brain cell health, which is a very big topic right now. It slows down the aging process. It activates our sirtuin proteins, and this is closely related to our survival genes. So by raising NAD and raising sirtuins, we're able to keep our survival genes, don't those kind of sound important, functioning for us, so that when invaders come in, we've got our own perfect design, you know, working for us to ward that stuff off. So at the heart of it, we are an anti-aging activator company. And if you're like me and you're aging, then you might want to take a look, and I am absolutely sure you will be pleased with the results. And so I would actually like to introduce our next guest. Her name is Chanel, and she is probably going to blow your mind a little bit, like she blew mine. She works in the profession, she works with elders. She owns an elder care facility, and she's just about the sweetest, kindest person who's just out there every day doing so much good for people. Honestly, Chanel, you're just a joy to behold, and please share your story with us. Yeah.
Hello. All right. So where exactly did you want me to start? I know that I've talked in the past. I wasn't sure if I start from the beginning, start all over with the story, or speed up to.
Oh, I would say, yeah, you could start at the beginning, or it's a heart to heart. So I like to say, just share what's on your heart. Any big or little piece.
Okay. So yes, my name is Chanel Hughes, and I have 7 children, 21 to 11 months. And we own a senior living home, and I love that. I'm actually 3rd generation, so my grandma started it, and my mom took over, and I just took over in the past 4 years, and I love it. I absolutely love it. Although I was finding myself really discouraged as I was taking care of elders, just because I'd go in and I would just see these lovely people that couldn't remember things, or just was not having quality life. And I kept seeing medications and medications adding to them and stuff like that, and nothing really helping. Greatly, a lot of side effects to this. You know, as you get older, the toxins, I think, store in your cells, and you just get a lot of side effects to things. And it was really discouraging. I was even starting to get depressed on, oh my goodness, this is what people have to look forward to, you know? And so I am a very healthy person. I like to do all I can also. And so I just started trying to think of anything that I could do for them to help with memories, to help with arthritis pain, and, you know, all of this kind of stuff that they just dealt with every day, and was just really depressed, and, you know, just a number of things. And luckily, I was blessed to have a doctor who also worked with me so great. He has a wonderful open mind to more holistic approaches, and wanting wellness versus just controlling the issue or the problem. So he worked really good with me, and he came in and told me about this product that he had been researching with a good friend of his, Rusty, and was sharing to me about everything. And I thought, this is really good, but this is my business, and I've seen a lot of great things, and what this is telling me is it's too good to be true. So I you know, it's not just gonna you know, swallow anything that was given. So I went into a huge, I love science, so I just went on this huge hunt to find everything I could about it, and all the science, and just devoured as many videos, and talked with Rusty, and just as much stuff as I could get. And I was floored with what I saw. So I thought, well, I'm not going to introduce this until I start taking it. You know, I can't present it to anybody until then. So I started taking it, and I'm a generally very healthy person, and I didn't even realize some of the things I've grown to live with until I started taking the product. And I thought I always slept really well. And then I took the product, and I'm like, oh, there's another level of sleep that I had never even, I just thought that was the best it could get. And just different things I had some heart issues that I had, and some arrhythmia and things like that. And I was floored at how I was experiencing less and less these arrhythmias and different things as as I was taking this. I felt healthier. I'm like, something was changing. So after doing it, I decided I was going to introduce it to the house and see. I mean, we're talking, a big age difference here. And can this really be this good even for 80 and 90-year-olds? And boy, did I have a lot in store to learn. And it does. It is every bit as good. So I started, I asked all the families, shared a little bit with them, asked them if they would be willing. And everybody was on board, really excited about it. And we started seeing huge changes in health. And I even want to say health. I started seeing, now bear in mind, work with elderly. So, this might be a topic a lot of people don't want to discuss, but I started seeing a huge difference in the death process, which is really big also. And so we used it and we started seeing a lot of healthier benefits as far as less depression. People were starting to feel happier. People were starting to sleep better, where we were able to handle sleep issues more holistically than medicinally, which I really like, because there's terrible side effects when you start messing neurologically with people. And so I was seeing a big difference with that. And then, just pains, aches and pains that elderly people have. I started seeing a big difference with that. And what really floored me is, a lot of people come in with high blood pressure, and after 3 months of being on Protandim, I really had to pay attention to that, because I started seeing people's blood pressure going low. And I thought, what in the world, and I was talking with Dr. Hyde too, and he was obviously supervising everything, and just started seeing that we actually didn't need as much control for blood pressure once we put somebody on Protandim, that everything just kind of leveled out. And I was able to reduce a lot of meds that were actually harmful also to some of the residents. They were getting a lot of side effects. So we did that, and obviously this is all I knew right at the beginning, because everybody was taking it and alive. But then after being on it for 4 years and continuing with this product with the families and stuff, I started noticing that the people that were on Protandim had a total drastically different dying experience than anybody else. And that's when I got to see firsthand what stress oxidation does when you lower it in the body. Man, God is good. And I see it in biblical terms, people just go to sleep. But that wasn't what I was experiencing at Gull Arbor. I was experiencing people laying in agony and turning and, needing medications for secretions and filling up with fluid and just pain. And it was a long dying process too. Sometimes it'd be up to 2 to 3 weeks as they just lingered and couldn't eat. It's not fun to talk about, but it's reality of what my experience was. And I started seeing with Protandim, my first person, I thought, no, that was too good to be true. We went in, she ate breakfast, and we said, how you doing? You want anything else? She was like, no. And we came back and she was reading a book, and she had her book on her chest, and she passed away. And we didn't have any of those indications as far as like, what in the world she had. It was completely flooring to us. Like, there was no typical. So I thought, well, okay, that was cool, but it was one. So that was probably just, that was a wonderful experience for her. Glad that happened for her. But I continued to see it. Every single person that had been on the product for at least, 3 to 4 months had a totally different experience. There was nothing. They were alert all the way to the end. They were eating. Then maybe somebody would eat and just say, oh, I feel a little tired. I'm going to go to sleep, and go to sleep. And that was it. And even somebody who stopped eating, like their whole body shut down together versus one organ at a time. It's like their body was all able to use every bit of energy in their organs all the way to the end. And then when they've given everything their all and just was like, okay, now we've done it and we're exhausted and we're just going to go. But there wasn't this, one after another, the kidneys, then the heart, and then the lungs or whatever. It was just everything ran wonderfully until the end, and they just passed. And even in the end, when we see, like, a lot of times we give morphine or just all kinds of different meds to help with the process. we didn't see that we needed anymore with these people. There was no pain. It was peaceful. It was quicker, because I think their organs just gave everything until they were exhausted and just said it's time now to be done. So that was huge for me. And at first it was like, oh, this is a coincidence. This is a coincidence. But then it was like, okay, how many coincidences can you have in a row, in a year, in another year, in another year before you're like, okay, maybe this isn't a coincidence anymore. And I started having hospice nurses like, oh my goodness, what does Gull Arbor do? I love it here. People just die happy. And, they just start saying all of these things that you're like, oh, yeah, yes, that's true. And it's like, you're waiting for them to say, what are you doing? And they just are like, this is wonderful. But you have so many different agencies too. So I'd love to have one stick through me for 4 years and see what, there's something definitely different. But we've done it now enough that the nurses are starting to say, this is crazy, and then I'll try to explain a little bit and they're just like, okay, and to keep moving on. Like they don't take time to really listen to the science enough. They've just been taught, their ways. So, and that's fine. But for us, we are ecstatic over it. The families are ecstatic over it. I actually purchase it for every resident. It's part of moving in to our place is I want wellness. I want happiness. I want their last days to be wonderful, abundant until the very end. And I'm seeing that more and more now where families are starting to enjoy more time, memories. Oh my goodness, when I added Protandim and the Axio, I've had a few stroke patients that haven't been talking or was really struggling with communication. And I add the Protandim and the Axio, and it's like they just wake up out of a fog and start talking more, and their families are just blown away and so excited, and they're they're just waking up. It's amazing, and I'm loving it. I'm loving every bit of it. So so I buy it for everybody, and that way I know there's no financial issues with everyone. It's just they get wellness.
Wow, Chanel, that is incredible. Thank you so much for sharing. Like you said, death is a hard topic to talk about, and a lot of people don't want to talk about it, but it's real life, and it happens to all of us and everybody and everyone in our family. And this, just to give you guys a picture of what we do. I have been in this business now for 7 years, and Chanel's story, I heard her story last week for the first time, and it really, really hit home to me. And I was gonna, finish up the call after our next presenter sharing the tail end of my story is I lost my mom recently. A few months back, I lost my mom, and when I heard Chanel's story, it brought me so much comfort, because when I saw my mom the evening she passed, she didn't look like she passed in pain, and we didn't know she was even close to passing. So she's been activated. She was for 7 years, and she lived an incredible, happy, amazing 7 years up until literally the minute that she passed. So for me to get Chanel's story out there to the world, to make sure people understand that there is there's something that can do wonders in the body. So thank you so much, Chanel, for sharing your story. That was incredible. We're going to move right on over to our next presenter, and I'm just going to pull up where she's from real quick. Another thing that I love so much about the connections that we make is we get to meet people from all over the world. And without this business, I wouldn't know 95% of the people on this call and how much it's affected, the health and the wellness and the well-being. And so this beautiful person came into my life just a few weeks ago. We haven't known each other long, but she has the biggest heart. She also lives on an island up in the Pacific Northwest called Fidalgo Island. I hope I'm not killing that name. It's part of the San Juan Island chain. She has an incredible story that she's going to share with you, and just a little bit more about the way how she does this, and we'll get wrapped up. But I'm just so grateful, Marilee, that you were able to hop on and join us and share a little bit of your heart, because I am just fallen in love with you in just the few short weeks that we've known each other. So thank you so much for hopping on our call.
Oh, it is an honor to be here. And oh my goodness, Chanel, Jennifer, I literally am sitting here covered in goosebumps. I bet you guys are too. And, I wrote this down, Chanel, as you're telling this, because, when you talk about our products and what they can do, I just wrote down adding days to your life and life to your days. That's what we have our hands on. And you guys, I came across this. So just a little bit about my journey and how I even came to be here. But I live with my husband here on this little island that's connected by a bridge to the mainland, which is wonderful. But, you know, as we started life, we're going to be celebrating our 29th wedding anniversary here in just a few days, which is an amazing thing to me. But when we started life out, I think everybody has an idea of what they're going to do to kind of create that income early on in life. So mine's a little bit of an income story and how I found this wonderful gift. But Sean was a commercial fisherman in the Bering Sea of Alaska. And so to give you a visual of what he did, if you've seen the television series Deadliest Catch, anybody seen that TV show? You have a visual of what he did. And so at the time, you know, we were young, early married life. Finances were great. I'll be honest. I mean, we were not hurting for income. But what it was is high risk for high pay. And we live in a fishing community, so many of our friends and family have been in and a part of that fishing industry. But it was just kind of part of life. And life was going on. I was actually working on the side, doing some marketing and doing some interior design work, and you know, just you know, working in the traditional workspace. And you know, life was good. And I got a call one night that Sean had hurt his back. And he hurt it really bad. It was a career-ending injury. And our world stopped overnight. Sean was injured enough that he wasn't able to work and do anything else. He actually took 1 year and 2 months in that recovery process. And you know, when life just kind of hits you smack outside, you literally just kind of have that moment where you have to reconsider so many things. And so it was a scary time for us. And all of a sudden I realized, you know, some of the things that I was doing to try to just stay busy and bring a little extra income in wasn't going to cut the mustard. And so, you know, we did all kinds of things. We hit the panic button, started to try to just, you know, where could we find a job locally? And we were, you know, trying different things and working for other people. And we realized, you know, we're too entrepreneurial to want to be working for somebody else. We realized that. But we did what most people do when they're entrepreneurial and they go out and they try to start their own business. And that's what we did. We started a traditional business and actually ventured into several different traditional businesses. But we found ourselves all of the sudden in this place where we were married to our job. In fact, we actually started a yacht detailing business. And in that space, we were, you know, working 100 hours a week. We don't have children. So we just literally married ourselves to our work. And I want you to pick this up. It was during that time that somebody saw something in me. Thank goodness. Thank God somebody saw something in me. I mean, and I mean that. Somebody saw the fact that I wasn't allergic to hard work, that I wanted something more out of life. And you know, we had integrity in our community, all of those things, but she saw something in me. And she kept coming back to me. She had worked in the space of network marketing in a different company, but she was working in that space. And she said, I would love to sit down in front of you and just tell you there's a way to make an income where you leverage yourself instead of having the ability to just like go to work and work so hard. You can build something so much bigger than just yourself. And I literally told her no. My concept of a home-based business was very small. I thought that it was, we were making a 6-figure year income in our new company. I didn't need extra work, but what I did need, you guys, was my life back. I mean, we found ourselves just drowning. I was on this hamster wheel. I didn't know how to get off. And even though I told her, no, I don't have time to even sit and listen to your presentation, she kept coming back. She kept seeing something in me. And I'm so thankful that she got my attention enough to sit down. And so I watched a presentation and I watched the ability to be able to build something bigger than yourself. And a light bulb went on, but I still couldn't see it myself. I bought the product initially and said, I'll buy the product, but I'm not interested in the business. There's no way. We're drowning in work. I don't need another job. I don't need another thing. And the best thing ever happened to me. She said, okay, no worries. Thank you so much. I know you love this product. And that's what happened. But the best thing that happened to me is that she went out and started recruiting some of my friends. All of a sudden, I magically found the time. I said to myself and to my husband, oh, heck no. Those are my friends. Like, if if she can do this, she was an oncology nurse. If she could do this and alongside her busy life, I could find a way to figure this out. This is the best thing that happened to me. I needed that swift push into something that could change my world. And so I started in the industry of network marketing now 13 years ago. And I literally have learned so much along the way. So much to this point that 4.5 years ago, I was introduced to LifeVantage. And I sat and I watched an ABC primetime report. My friend sent it to me. It was a very simple approach. She literally said to me, I have something that you need to see. I recognized on social media that she was doing something different. I didn't know what it was, but I reached out, what are you doing? And she said, are you sitting at your computer? And I said, yes. And she said, perfect. I'm going to send you a video link. It's short. I want you to watch it. I'm going to call you 1 minute later. And I said, okay, perfect. I sat there watching this video. Halfway through this ABC report, and I'm watching, you know, all of the story unfold. And I had been in the health and wellness space. That was way on my radar. I had already been in this space, yet I'd never heard of this product. And I'm sitting there with my jaw on the floor. And I said to my husband, if half of what they're saying in this is true, I want a piece of this. This is a no-brainer. So I didn't have a transformation first to literally get it. What I saw is there was something that the world needed, clearly. I just hadn't discovered it yet. But I understood from my very early on experience that it's important to take swift action. And so from that entrepreneurial brain that I shared that I have, I saw an opportunity to be able to get this out. And I literally saw from a heart of, I knew that I needed to be on these products. I didn't have any significant health issues that I could really identify off the list. But man, were the names going through my head. I knew my mom, my dad, my brother. The list went on. And as fast as I was watching that video, I'm writing names down. Like I knew so many people that needed this product. So that for me was an instant trigger to say, I'm in. In fact, I decided, literally, I picture myself just strapping on a parachute and jumping out of the plane and just like, let's go, let's do this. Here's what I did know. I knew I had my hands on something very special. I heard the numbers after I got that phone call. I heard the numbers of the retention rate that happens even with our flagship product, that Protandim Nerve 2 that was beautifully explained earlier. I saw how high those retention numbers were. And from a business standpoint, that made so much sense to me. I knew that if I got people exposed to these products, they were going to have a significant difference in their life. And I didn't know at that point what was going to unfold. But what's unfolded since then, you guys, it literally drops me to my knees almost daily, covers me in goosebumps, chokes me up from the messages, the text messages, the phone calls, the team that shares, the people that come back to you and say, because you said yes to this, my world has changed. My family's been touched. And it's happened, guys, from a health perspective to a financial perspective. And it just continues to have a ripple effect. So you never know from you saying yes to something, even though you may not know how to share it, you may not know what that impact's going to look like. Sometimes taking a leap of faith is the best thing you can do. And that ripple effect just continues to be a blessing. And we've promoted now to a level of Elite Pro 8, which has been an amazing financial blessing for us. But I promise you, the gift in this is having something in my life that makes such a significant impact in the world and the people that are around us. I feel like I'm a dealer of hope. You know, I give people a chance to have that hope of feeling better again, or having that hope of building something alongside a busy life to maybe have a financial reprieve. And that's what we have our hands on. And I am so grateful every day to the person that shared this with me. And it is an honor for every one of us that have this ability to share it with others. I promise you, every one of us feels the same way I do. We know from the inside what this can do and what a blessing it is. And that ripple effect just goes on and on and on. So Julie, thank you for having me on this call tonight. Amazing chance to be able to share, and the hearts that are on here, I see some faces that I know and love dearly. but it's an honor to be here and share with you today.
Aw, thank you so much, Marilee, for that heartfelt share. You know, I feel like we get to this place within this business, like you said, and it's, yeah, the financial compensation is pretty incredible. I will not say anything negative about that. It's incredible, but the emotional compensation that she just kind of expressed, you guys, is like, I mean, we could sit here for an hour and I could tell you just in the last week alone of how much love has been poured into this group that we've created, into this company, into how many people's lives. So yes, we are talking about a wellness product that is by far one of the most incredible products that has been created, you know, in the last probably, I don't even know how long. It's revolutionary. It changes lives daily, thousands of lives. But like Marilee shared so beautifully, is there is also a whole other side to this conversation. And that's kind of the tail end of my story as well. And I know that we're going a little bit over, and if you need to hop off, I'm going to invite you to do so. But if you want to stay on for just a few minutes, I think it's crucial that I just share the end of my story, which isn't the end of my story, but it's you know, really powerful that I saw what Marilee saw in the beginning. And I knew that the impact that this product was making on people's lives and what it could do, I also understood what it could do for my life and give me that time back with my kids. And that is what drove me, I think, more than anything, is I just wanted that time back and I wanted to offer that to other people. And so I painted this vision for people and I ran out there and I shared it with the world as best I could, even though I didn't know much about network marketing. This was my first rodeo. I'm a jewelry designer, a mother, a surfer, so you don't have to be seasoned to be successful. But I just had a big heart. I had a vision. I believed in residual income, and I believed that you could do something one time and get paid over and over and over again. And so that's just what I want to paint for you guys, the possibility. If you are potentially looking for something different, because I know a lot of people are scared right now. There's a lot of concern of what's going to happen in the next couple of years with their jobs and with the economy and whatnot, that everybody who is within our company and within this business hasn't lost anything. I didn't have a boss calling me, laying me off and saying that, I'm sorry, you're not going to get a paycheck, or you have to fight on the phone for unemployment. My husband, you know, he has one of those regular jobs and he still hasn't gotten any unemployment, and he still is on the phone every day getting the busy signal. But this, we get to be that middle person. We get to be the, I guess, just the one that shares something in between. And for just doing that work, we get paid by the company to be the marketers, if you will, to go out there and share our stories. And that's really what we do. And for me personally, I was able to create this leveraged wheel versus the linear wheel where you clock in and you clock out, like Marilee was mentioning, that rat race, that hamster wheel that you just can't seem to get out of. You're able with something like this to create a leveraged engine that continues to go without you. And about 3.5 years ago, I jumped out of my wheel to have a baby, and I got to be mommy to that baby. And I didn't have to worry about going back to work. And I had another baby. That's where the 4 kids come from. And I got to spend as much time with them as I needed. And I didn't ever have to worry that I was going to lose my income, because every month that income was coming in because I built that leveraged wheel. And that is what's so beautiful about what we have, is if you do see the vision, you have a team of people that want to help you create that time freedom in your life. And it's real, it's happening. When my mom passed, I mentioned that earlier, this last year really rocked me. I got a strong curveball last year, but again, I had time freedom to mourn and grieve and plan her funeral and do what I needed to do personally without having to worry about how I was going to feed my kids and provide for my family. So with that, I just wanted to end on that. We're so grateful you joined us. I don't usually go this long, but we had some phenomenal presenters tonight. Chanel, Jennifer, Marilee, thank you so much for sharing your heart and your stories. And I hope you all got some value out of that. Please get with the person that invited you to this call to ask more information. Imagine for a second what this could do for your life, the people that you know in your life that this could help, whether that be from a health standpoint or a financial standpoint. And I hope to see you again soon. So have a wonderful evening, you guys. I'm going to go ahead and end the call with that. Mwah. Love you all. Thank you for joining us.